Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for joining online. I want to start off by saying thank you to the Eminent Wellness Center for providing this beautiful space. And if you haven't had a chance to come check it out, please do come utilize the services and the amazing equipment that is here at your disposal. Also want to say a huge thank you to Kemosabi, who is sponsoring these education sessions for the community. My organization, EducaNation, has partnered with Kemosabi to bring this education to the community, and we're very proud of this partnership and just grateful to be here. So Niawe for welcoming me here. Before I do dive in, I just want to share our land acknowledgement, because at EducaNation, we are dedicated allies to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, and we recognize the vast sovereign and unsurrendered treaty territories from the east to the west coast. We also acknowledge the First Nations people of Turtle Island to be the original and rightful land owners, land caretakers, and land healers to what we know to be Canada. And through our ever-growing network of partners and supporters, we at EducaNation sincerely aim and to continually work and learn how to be diverse and responsive in supporting the various wellness needs of Indigenous communities. And we are fulfilling part of that promise by being here today and sharing this education with you. And I am JJ O'Brien. I just wanted to share a little bit about what brought me here today. So I smoked weed my whole life, but I didn't really understand cannabis as a medicine until 2019 when I got diagnosed with stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. I was given 6 months to a year to live and told I was inoperable, incurable, and terminal. So I went searching for an alternative to death, and I discovered the healing power of cannabis, and it absolutely transformed my life and my circumstances overnight, which filled me with this passion to learn everything that I possibly could about this plant. And so I took some education, and I got certified as a cannabis health coach and educator. I've taken the healer.com certification courses. I've also studied with some of the most prominent doctors in the cannabis field. So I became a cannabis health coach and educator so I could work with other people. I've always walked with plant medicine. Since 2005, I've been a chartered herbalist, never been one for pharmaceuticals. So I'd like to understand how we can utilize all the incredible plants that are available to us. So been doing that. And then during my healing journey, I've dabbled in some various modalities. I did a little mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. I did the teacher training and also trained to be a cannabis meditation ceremony facilitator that hopefully we'll bring it here sometime. And as well, I had written a book, and it actually just came out today. I'm beyond excited, a little extra spring in my step today, because this book that I've been working 3 years on has just made it to stores. It's on shelves now, Amazon or balboapress.com. So go check it out. Very proud of High Hopes for Healing, Stigma-Free Education on Thriving Through Cancer with Cannabis. It is the book that I wish that I had a diagnosis, and I'm hoping that it can just help somebody else in the world make this journey a little bit easier for them. So I hope that you pick one of those up, and I'm going to have some soon to have for sale here in the center as well, if that's possible. Also want to just say, even now that you know who I am, really important to share who I am not. I do have some letters after my name, but none of them are PhD or RN. I am not a doctor, or nurse, or a medical professional of any kind. I'm just a patient of a person just like you who ended up in a health crisis and has navigated her own way out of it. And I just feel that I'm still here, as part of my mission is to be able to share this information with everybody. So once again, very grateful to be here. No? That's where I want to go. All right. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about today. I'm hoping that by the end of this session, that you'll understand a little bit better about what cannabis is biologically and historically. We're going to talk a little bit about the role of cannabis in healing, sovereignty, and sustainability. And we're here to build relationship, talk about responsibility, and why this cannabis education is so important. Oh, yes, okay. Before I change to the next slide, this is the time for the audience participation moment. All right, make sure everybody is with me. So I want to ask everybody a question. So whether you're here or online, you can put your responses in the chat or just yell them out here. No right or wrong answers. You're not going to be tested. I just want to know, what is the first word that comes to your mind when you hear the word cannabis?
Pie.
Pie. First word that comes to your mind. Don't overthink it. Anybody else?
Medicated.
Medicated. Like it. Anybody else?
Tired.
Tired. Okay. Anybody else? Weed. Weed. We got medicine up there on the screen. Food. Oh, there's a great one. Anyone else? Right? First thing that comes to your mind. Don't overthink it.
Ash.
Ash. There you go. A lot of different words come to our minds when we hear the word cannabis. Me, when I hear the word cannabis, I think plant, because cannabis is a plant. And it's a plant and not a drug, contrary to what you have been told about it. Plants don't make drugs. People do that. Cannabis is a plant grown on the Turtle Island for more than 12,000 years. And species is Cannabis sativa species. So no matter what you've heard it called, cannabis is cannabis is cannabis. It has a family. It's part of the Cannabisaea family, and it has relatives as well in hops and hackberries, plant medicines we've been utilizing for thousands of years. It also has a surname, and you might have heard them: indica, sativa, ruderalis, hybrid. You might also heard these terms utilized to describe how the plant is going to make you feel, and that is not entirely accurate. I hope you come back next month where we talk more about that. Indica, sativa, ruderalis, hybrid, these are just botanical terms, and they refer to the genus of the plant and how it's grown. Indica, shorter, bushier, and sorry if I mixed that up. Sativa is tall, lankier, skinny leaves, shorter life. Ruderalis is on its own life cycle entirely, kind of like what we call ditchweed, where you just throw that seed and it grows without having to worry about the light cycles. But these days, all of our cannabis plants that we have access to are hybrids. We have no original indica sativas or land races, as they have been referred to, really anymore, because we have crossbred and cross-geneticized this plant so many times that now it's just all a hybrid of either these indica and sativa varietals. Cannabis is also a dioecious plant, which means it has male and female expressions. And just like in human nature, it's the males that produce the pollen and the seed, and that is so that the females can produce the fruit or the flowers, and that is where the majority of the medicine is contained in the plant. It's one plant with many variations. Like I said, cannabis is cannabis, cannabis, whether you've heard it called, hemp, recreational, medicinal, indica, sativa, all of those things. But at the end of the day, it is the cannabis sativa plant. So just like when you think about apple trees, where you can have so many different varietals of apples, but at the end of the day, they're all coming from an apple tree. It's the same thing with cannabis. The cannabis plant is the cannabis plant, but you can get very many different expressions or varietals from it. Also, one other thing I always just like to address at this time, cannabis is a teacher plant, regardless of what you've been told about it. So I really encourage everybody to just not reduce its value by referring it to the term that was given to demonize it. And this is marijuana. Our people have had many names given to us to demonize us, to turn people away from us as a people and as a culture. And cannabis has suffered the same fate. It has been given many different names that have been given to demonize it and to reduce its value, and marijuana is at the top of that list. So I just encourage you not to use the M word. Slang really does demonize this plant, and with proper language, we can truly build respect and improve our relationship. Right? Okay. The other word I think about when I hear the word cannabis is medicine. Cannabis is medicine. Even if you're just smoking a joint, whether you know it or not, you are self-medicating with cannabis. Dennis Perot, a famous cannabis activist, stated that all cannabis use is medicinal use, and I agree with him 100%. Cannabis is medicine. It contains over 750 medicinal molecules. Every single one of them will have a medicinal benefit in some way, shape, or form. Those molecules are cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, and so many other little things in smaller varieties. Cannabis 150 years ago was the most widely prescribed medicine on the market. It formed the ingredients of the top 3 prescription medications at the time. And Johnson & Johnson's first ever product was a cannabis-infused corn plaster for your toes. That was their first ever ingredient or product. And it wasn't until really the dawn of the industrial era that cannabis, became a threat to some certain systems and some certain pocketbooks. And this is when the campaign for cannabis prohibition took place. So we have cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids. This is all like a pharmacy in a plant, this plant. But it has been demonized for a long time because of just one of the molecules, just one that can make you feel high or give you a euphoric medicated feeling effect. And that is THC. But THC, for me, is my most favorite medicine. It is a very potent medicine. And when it's used with intention and respect, it can be a wonderful medicine for all people. Our intention of when we're working with the medicine really does affect our outcomes. So I would also be so bold as to say that cannabis is not just medicine, but it is Mino Mashkiki. It is good medicine. Why? Because good medicine is what restores balance to physical, emotional, spiritual systems without any harm to the land or to the body that it is supporting. And cannabis can do all of this. Why? Well, because we are not separate from cannabis. We are deeply connected to this plant, so connected that our bodies are designed to interact with cannabis. So another question for you. How many of you have heard of your endocannabinoid system? Yeah. It's okay. Like, should I have? Well, I think we all should know about the most important system in our bodies that's designed to control and regulate all the other 11 systems of our body. So our cardiovascular system, immune system, digestive system, reproductive system, all those 11 other systems are regulated by the balance of our endocannabinoid system. This system was only discovered in the 80s, so we're really only scratching the surface about what we know about it. But it is so very important. It is the largest cell signaling network in our body. It's called the master controller or master regulator, and its job is homeostasis. And homeostasis is just balance. It's just all systems go. It's the body functioning optimally. And when our ECS is balanced, this is what happens. All vertebrates, 2- and 4-legged, have an endocannabinoid system. So very important that we are aware of that as well. So the endocannabinoid system's purpose is for regulating all of these external stressors that come to us, and it's keeping the body maintained no matter what happens. When the endocannabinoid system is working optimally, it is regulating our mood and emotional balance. It regulates our pain perceptions, our inflammation, our immune responses, our sleep cycles and circadian rhythms, our appetite and metabolism, our memory and learning, our stress responses, our nervous system signaling, our hormonal balance, pH balance, and the list goes on and on. Homeostasis is the oasis, and then any detours from that can lead to endocannabinoid systems dysfunctions or imbalances or conditions like cannabis use disorder or cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. We're going to talk about those in sessions down the road. If you have been suffering from a condition like irritable bowel syndrome, fibromyalgia, or chronic migraines, then rest assured that you have an imbalance in your endocannabinoid system. And the beauty is that when we have an imbalance, we have the plant that we can supplement with so that we can support the balance for our bodies. Right? All right. Another little Q&A here. Question. It's a trivia question, and the question is, why was cannabis prohibited? Was it A, because it's a dangerous drug with a high risk of abuse? Was it B, because someone died? Was it C, because rich men stood to lose money? C. Oh, everybody answered C. It seems that we are familiar with this tale as old as time. And it was, big oil, big paper, big media, big pharma. Of course, who saw cannabis as direct competition. They aligned with the newly formed Drug Enforcement Agency, which was created once alcohol prohibition ended because these people needed a job. So they gave them a new job. And they were, Harry Anslinger was their boss, and he was the one who led the charge in changing the narrative around this plant, really. So we have him to thank for that. So these sessions are really important because this is how we take our power. So when we look back through time, there is oral, written, and archaeological history that suggests that cannabis has been used by various peoples, including Indigenous peoples, for some thousands of years now. Some of this evidence suggests that it was used for food, for medicine, for ceremony, for building materials, and more. Just a couple of hours from here, Morriston, Ontario, 2,500-year-old clay pipes found belonging to the Silex people, tested positive for cannabis residue. That's just a couple hours from here. And, of course, that suggests that the plant has been around maybe a little bit longer than we're aware of. Also in North America, there's the Hopewell people, Ohio Valley people. They ran extensive trade networks, and they moved plants, medicines, knowledge, ceremonial goods across these vast distances. So we don't know if it was whether through these trade routes or through migration or through later European settling, where this plant was like truly introduced to us in North America. So it's a complex history. We don't know it all because, a lot of it is oral tradition, and, these words can be changed over time, but this is what has been passed down and that we have heard, repeated over time. So also want to share, about the colonial legalization, didn't create the relationship with this plant. It didn't grant permission for us to walk with this plant. All it really did was remove the prohibitions that it put in place in the first place. But the relationship between, people and plants has been going on for a long time. And, these self-serving systems don't really get to decide how we get to use them. At least they think they do, but they shouldn't. But like I said, cannabis and Indigenous peoples have experienced a lot of parallel history. We've both been overly regulated, overly controlled, overly stigmatized, overly criminalized. Indigenous people, African Americans, made up the majority of the inmates incarcerated for cannabis-related crimes, the same crimes that our government is profiting millions of dollars from today. So, and a big problem there, often, is that Indigenous peoples are left out of the conversation. And we know that colonial systems prefer control over collaboration. And of course, once again, this is why this education is so important. And, knowledge is power, and this knowledge is how we take our power back. Right. All right. So every decision that we make in life carries a consequence that goes beyond the present moment. And what we choose to do today doesn't end with us, but moves forward through time. It shapes our conditions, the conditions for our children, the condition for our children's children. And cannabis can help open the door to healing patterns that live not only in the body, but that live within families and spread through communities. And when we can build relationship with our endocannabinoid system, with the plant that is connected to, we can reconnect to ourselves. And we can also clear away stress, clear away disease, clear away trauma. There's a Bob Marley quote that says, "When you smoke the herb, it reveals yourself to you." And I always love that. And I experienced it firsthand, I will tell you, when I was on my healing journey with cannabis and taking very high doses of THC-rich cannabis, which put me in these very euphoric states, where in these states, I really found myself again. I don't know how else to say it. I was reintroduced to myself, and I found acceptance for where I was at, and I took responsibility for where I was at, and I was able to accept where I was at, which was also very healing for me to move through. And cannabis really facilitated that for me. So this was a heightened introspection that cannabis can bring when utilized with spiritual intention. And it can help change the way we view our circumstances. It can alter our perception, and it can really allow true healing to take place. When we begin to heal, we begin to speak. And when we speak, we're sharing our stories. And when we share our stories, this is when the stigma softens. And when the stigma softens, then other people find the courage to come and share their stories or to walk with the plant medicine as well. So I am here today 100% because somebody else shared their story about how cannabis helped them. They showed me the way. They gave me hope. I had no idea before. And, they gave me that knowledge. So this is a healing that moves out in ripples, one person, one family, one community. And cannabis doesn't just offer an ability to heal the body, heal the mind. It can also heal the land. There are hemp varieties of cannabis that can regenerate our soil, pull toxins out of the contaminated ground. And it supports responsible agriculture that is in a way that works with nature rather than against it. So cannabis is a wonderful commodity. We can all profit greatly from it. But it's also a plant teacher, and it reminds us that we have a responsibility, and we have a responsibility to the terrain that lives inside of us, and to the terrain that we live on. So if we can nurture the plant, nurture this knowledge, nurture these teachings, and steward this land, we can really create a healing that can ripple for generations to come. We hear a lot about intergenerational trauma. And, we really can't speak about intergenerational trauma responsibly without also talking about intergenerational healing. This can be passed down through endocannabinoid system regulation. Cannabis supports this idea of long-term healing by restoring balance, breaking cycles of illness, of trauma, and of addiction. There's an Italian researcher, Vincenzo Di Marzo. He concluded that the mechanisms of action of cannabis or the endocannabinoid system is to help us protect, eat, relax, forget, and sleep. And these are very important mechanisms, especially when one is trying to heal. These are very important core biological processes, and they help, protect us from inflammation and imbalance. It helps improve our appetite and digestion, bring ease and rest, and allows the mind to let go of ruminating, traumatic thoughts. The endocannabinoid system also plays a role in what scientists call fear extinction, which is the brain's ability to soften the intensity of past experiences so that they no longer dominate the present moment. And of course, cannabis, when used with this intention, can create conditions where balance can be gradually restored, not through disconnection, but through restoration and connection. And I also want to share a little bit about the emerging science of epigenetics. Epigenetics, just means above genes, and it's the idea that our lived experiences can influence how our genes are expressed over time, which is a scientific proof that intergenerational trauma does exist. Right? But it also offers us an opportunity for change because our DNA sequence remains largely unchanged over generations, which is why most often people feel like, they are a victim of their genes or their genetics or their family history. But that is not actually the case. We can change the terrain by changing our inner environment. Most genes that run in the family, they run in the family because families run together. They live the same kind of life. They're taught the same way. These teachings are handed down. They eat the same foods. And this is where this is passed down. But we can break these cycles, break these chains by just changing up what's happening in our bodies. And a lot of the time that just comes from just restoring balance. Right? So yeah, if trauma can echo through generations, healing can too. That's all I got to say about that. And let's talk about the opioid epidemic or opioid crisis. The opioid crisis amongst First Nations people is severe. Between 2019 and 2022, almost 400 First Nations people lost their lives to opioid addiction. In 2022, First Nations peoples were dying of opioids 9 times more often than non-First Nations people. And, I've often heard cannabis described as a gateway drug, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Cannabis is not a gateway drug. It is an exit drug. It is an exit from harmful pharmaceuticals and street drugs. It's an exit from unmanaged pain, and it's an exit from systems that would harm us rather than heal us. There is a cannabis substitution project that's going on in British Columbia right now, and it's been operating for probably a decade, I think. They've been giving away 420 milligrams of cannabinoid-based edible products to people who are addicted to, heavy drugs, heroin, fentanyl, alcohol,
Right.
you name it. If they're addicted to it, this medicine is helping getting them off of it. Now, it's not a cure-all for addiction in any way, shape, or form, but it is an incredible harm reduction tool, and we're seeing amazing benefit of it in BC, and that is coming this way, hopefully. So it's just by helping people manage the withdrawal discomforts, the anxiety, chronic pain, insomnia, all that comes from the withdrawal symptoms. Cannabis really offers a gentler off-ramp from these substances that really carry a lot of risk and a lot of risk of overdose and dependency as well. We don't need any more of that.
Right. 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 Right.
Great. Okay, let's talk about something a little bit different now. Let's shift gears a little bit, and I want to address a conversation that has come up many times here. I've had several conversations with the community about the smell of cannabis. There are a lot of people that have some concerns about the smell of the plant when it's growing, either outdoors or indoors, and there is some concern there. So I want to share a little bit about that right now. Start by saying that smell is one of our most sensitive senses. Our noses can pick up over 400 different components. Cannabis has about 200 or more, so that's a lot.
Right.
If you happen to be shopping for a cannabis product and you smell that cannabis and you go, ooh, nope, then I promise you it's not for you. But if you smell the cannabis and you go back for a second, sniff, that's probably what you need in that moment. Our nose knows. It is, like I said, one of our most powerful senses that we have. And our sense of smell is subjective. And our perception of smells also often comes from our biological history, our culture, our personal history. It changes from person to person. Some people love the smell of garlic. Some people can't stand it. Some people love the smell of pumpkin. Some people can't stand it. Fish, coffee, lilacs. I know people who don't like the smell of lilacs. I don't know what's wrong with them, but I mean, it's all subjective, right? All smells are subjective. And the smells that come off of plants are called terpenes. And terpenes are the aromatic compounds that are produced in all plants, including our four sacred medicines, sage, sweetgrass, cedar, tobacco. And this is just how the plants are communicating with the outside world. You smell them and you go to them. They're talking to you. They're speaking to you. The terpenes are also where the medicine is housed. The majority of the medicine in the cannabis plant is based inside the terpenes. And we already use terpenes in everyday life without even thinking about it most of the time. If anybody has a baby, a grandbaby, you probably rub some lotion with lavender in it on them. We put it in their bathtub to calm them and help them sleep. And we know that that's what this does. And this is from the terpene linalool.
Right.
We go for a walk in nature. We always come back with a revived spirit. Smelling the pine trees and all of the evergreen trees release pinene. And this is a very uplifting and energizing terpene. We also season our food all the time. We want to give it a little zhuzh, a little flavor. We're also adding some medicinal benefit to our food. And we brew teas and we breathe them in before we sip with various herbs. And what we're breathing in are these terpenes. Cannabis contains over 150 of them: linalool, pinene, limonene, beta-caryophyllene, myrcene, that go on. And these are just aromas, essential oil components of the plant. They are the plant's chemistry at work. And again, they are how the plants are speaking to us.
Right.
And yes, smell really ideally a matter of personal preference. It's not going to harm you if you walk by a cannabis field and you smell that plant. It's the smell is more information. It's not going to intoxicate you. You might get a little bit of exposure, but the exposure is very subtle, very mild. And what it is this aromatherapy that you're getting. It's the essential oils that you're selling, and they are giving you an aromatherapeutic benefit. That's the word. I do want to clarify as well that when we're talking about the smell of cannabis, I'm talking about the raw cannabis plant and not cannabis smoke. That's a very different thing. Cannabis smoke, secondhand smoke, it is what it is. I think we all know that we don't want to be exposing our young ones to that. But at the same time, there is some medicinal benefit to cannabis smoke. So just putting that out there. So cannabis is also can be saved for people of all ages. And I know, that was a lot of the concern with the smell, but, like all medicines, when they're used with the proper knowledge and attention and respect, then they can be a real powerful ally for people of all ages. And I wanted to share a story. My partner, Shauna Dunbar, the founder of the organization EducaNation that I'm a part of, her son, Shaden, at 9 years old, was diagnosed with epilepsy. And she went the Western medicine route. He was taking all the medications, doing all the things they told him to do. He was still having seizures, and he was suffering from horrific side effects from the medications that he was on. Then one day, there just so happened to be a shortage of the medication that her son was on. And if you've ever tried to come off of a seizure drug, I will tell you that it is absolutely horrific. And so she had just enough of the medication to be able to wean her child safely and started implementing the cannabis. Once she implements the cannabis, the seizures were completely eliminated. He was 3, she says, not 9 years old. So I think he was 9 maybe when he started cannabis. And then after that, no more seizures. He just turned 20. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jonna. And he has also just been told that he no longer has epilepsy. So that's the end of that. I've seen cannabis has been approved for use in, children of all ages for treatment-resistant epilepsy, for ADHD, for autism, for cancer. And it's really just the harm arises when people start messing with the plant, when we lose our relationship with it, when we overly process and heavily alter and co-modify and use it without the proper education, just like anything else. Like I said, you can drink too much water and you can harm yourself. Anything used incorrectly can do that, right? But when you use it correctly, with the proper knowledge, respect, and responsibility, then that's just the best approach. When we talk about cannabis being safe for all ages, of course, I do want to share, I know that most of us are probably aware, but if you're not, that the young developing brain, not fully developed till 25 years old. So smoking cannabis, probably not ideal until that age, but young people can still utilize cannabis in other ways safely, beneficially, again, just with the proper use and guidance. All right.
Right.
The end here.
Right.
All right. So I mentioned hemp. Hemp is an incredible varietal of cannabis that has so much sustainability, regenerative ability. We've heard the theory of the climate crisis, and I'm telling you right now, if there was one, this is the solution. Hemp is just the non-intoxicating variety of the cannabis sativa plant, and it has been growing here for thousands of years. And it was once the most widely cultivated crop in the world. Even like President George Washington had decreed that all farmers grow an acre of hemp because it was such a useful material. They used it for all their hemps and sails and textiles and things like that. The beauty of the cannabis plant is that you can grow an acre of hemp in 4 months and get a lot more hemp than you can from an acre of trees in 7 years. So incredibly regenerative and sustainable material. You can build pretty much anything with hemp. I've only just been learning about it, and it's absolutely just mind-blowing what you can do with this material. You can create and store energy, batteries, solar panels. You can make fuel. Everything that you make from plastic, you can make from hemp. You can make building materials, hempcrete, hemp wood, hemp fiber insulation. Again, it's cleaning up the soil. They planted it all around Chernobyl after the nuclear crisis so that they could clean up all the ground, and it's working. You can feed yourselves, your families, your animals, and it can provide bedding and comfort. The house that's in the picture there is my partner, Shauna Dunbar's house, who's on the call with us today. She built this house with her own two hands. Her husband put up the framework and she built all the hempcrete, cast it on site. They started with the garage and then they built the house. It's still a work in progress, but it is mostly complete. I've had the pleasure of being there a couple of times, and it's an absolutely incredible home that was carbon negative before it was even finished. It will never burn down. It will never mold. It will never rot. It'll get stronger over time. And it's a multi-generational family home that would probably potentially outlive her family. Hopefully not. All right. So yeah, we are. Oh wait, no, I want to talk just a little bit more too about just the land and how we can transform all these materials to support the land. Very, very important. Right? I'm sure this will just move on. Right? Okay, we are coming down to the last slide here. So let me just say thank you to everybody for being here, and thank you for your time and for your attention and your participation. I really appreciate it. I do hope that, some of the information that I provided for you tonight really encourages you to reconnect with this plant a little bit, open up to its wisdom. It really does have such tremendous benefit in helping us to heal and restore our bodies, our mind, and the land that we live on, and the families that we are a part of. If cannabis still seems unapproachable to anybody, then I just really, encourage you to consider that, most of us accept coffee daily for clarity, and we utilize tobacco for prayer and herbal teas, for comfort and relief. So, how do we reject the plant that Creator designed our bodies to recognize and to speak with? I would say Creator doesn't make mistakes. Creator designed our bodies intentionally with an endocannabinoid system that recognizes the compounds in the cannabis plant. And it reminds us that healing is not something we manufacture, but it's something that we remember how to receive. So remember who you are, what you are capable of. And if you happen to forget, then cannabis is here to remind you. All right. So thank you so much again for listening. I just wanted to share a little bit briefly about the EducaNation organization that I am a part of. We are a cannabis education nonprofit, and our mission is to provide the highest standard of responsible education and support respect for holistic plant medicine. We are Canada's first and only association of certified cannabis educators. And if you are a coach or educator in the cannabis space, we encourage you to join us there. Our offerings have been behind a paywall for years now, but we are taking the paywall down and we're opening up for the community to everybody. So starting on March 20th, not just yet, but March 20th, everything will be open up. You just go to our website, educanation.info, and all you need to do is subscribe, sign up. You'll get our newsletter, and the newsletter is going to have all the information of all the offerings that EducaNation offers, and it'll provide you with the links and continued education. EducaNation has a lot of continued education offerings that we offer every month with our ECN Live and our ECN Live with our Chief Science Officer, Dr. Buba Bleshing, who comes once a month to share the latest science on what's going on in the cannabis space. We also have lovely community chats that you can come and join and ask questions, just hang out, talk about whatever's going on in the industry. And we're just here to be supportive and a community that loves learning about cannabis. So if that is you, you can also sign up right over there for our email list, and you can follow us by scanning the QR codes over there. Business cards, and there's cards on the table. A lot of EducaNation's education. Feel free to take any of that home with you for anybody who is here in person. As well, I just want to say once again, thank you to Kemosabi for sponsoring these education sessions, and thank you to the Eminent Wellness Center for providing this beautiful space. And thank you. I hope that you all join us again next month. I don't know the date off the top of my head. I think it's April 13th, and that is going to be our next education session, which will be introducing cannabis. So we're going to dive deep into the cannabis plant and really get a deeper understanding of it. All right. So we hope to see you there. Just visit kemosabi.ca and sign up to register under the updates.